Hello everyone, welcome. This is my first time ever streaming. I recently got high-speed internet installed, NBN in Australia, and it's pretty good. I'm trying it out now with streaming for the very first time because my internet previously just wasn't up to the task. So let me know what you think. Tell me if you see any problems, if the audio mix is bad, or if you're having any problems with the streaming dropping out or anything like that. And please comment as we go, so tell me how you're enjoying it, if you've got any questions. Tonight I'm going to be doing a processing of a photo shoot that I did a few days ago, actually just yesterday, with my good friend Cammy. And she came up with the idea of doing a cute photo shoot, and we decided to do that in the city. So I've already gone through the process of selecting those photos, and I'm going to process that. Now, just the first thing I've noticed is I'm hearing myself on the stream, so I'm going to mute that. Hopefully that'll fix it, because I want to keep track of the chat while we're going, and also so I can see how many people are watching. Let me just go to the right tab for that. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so just while I'm on here, I've got my Patreon page open. If you would like to support me and my work, I would be very grateful for that. It's difficult to make a living as an artist. I do have a job as a photographer. I'm self-employed. I do real estate and portraiture and other sorts of photography. But I would love to spend more time doing creative photography. So becoming a patron of mine, that helps me to do that. And you can do so from as little as $3 a month, but when you get to the $10 a month level, then you get exclusive access to photo shoots when I post them. So yeah, that's the Patreon on screen now, so patreon.com/NeilCreek, and if you think that I'm worth supporting, I would be very grateful to that. Thank you. Alright, let's get on with the editing. So, I've already gone through and done all these selections. This is something that it's the hard job actually is doing selections. There's a lot of effort and time involved in figuring out which are the best photos of a shoot. Typically I'll come away with hundreds of photos from a shoot, and I need to narrow it down to a much smaller number so that it doesn't overload anyone with photos. And it's difficult sometimes to pick the best of a couple of very similar photos, and when you've narrowed it down, it can be difficult to narrow it down enough until you've got few enough photos. So I think I've got 49 in this short list now, and I may drop one or two as I go, but I'm pretty happy with this edit so far. So I'm just going to get into the editing now, and you can watch and let me know if you have any questions as we go. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that I actually edit using a DJ deck with lots of knobs on it. It's a 4x4 deck of knobs, so it's 16 knobs in total, and I can either twist them or I can press them, and those directly control the sliders. So you can see my mouse here, and I'm opening up the control panels. All of these different sliders here I've got mapped to the knobs on the DJ control panel. If you look back in my YouTube channel history, you'll see a video where I discuss that and show you how it works. But if you see the sliders moving without me actually moving the mouse, that explains why. Okay, so here's our first shot. Let's get into it. So I usually do the overall exposure corrections first. Actually, I've forgotten something. Lens corrections. Now this is something that I apply to every image because they are the same across all images. So I'm removing chromatic aberration and applying the profile. And I might do a little bit of masking on the sharpening, increase the sharpening a bit, and a bit of noise reduction. And I will apply that throughout. So I'll do that first. Synchronize. And that'll send through to all the photos that I've selected. Okay, now I can go back and edit that one with its own unique edits. So the look I want to be going for in this shoot is a light, bright, cute, colourful, maybe a bit contrasty kind of look. So I'll start working towards that end. Now I don't want to clip any of the highlights or the shadows. Saturation, I want it to be good, but I don't want to go too far. Let's see, how does that look? With the white balance, it's tricky because the walls are a bit blue. Look, I'll ignore the walls and I'll just look at Cammy's skin tone. So that's looking pretty good. And she's very pink with what she's wearing, but I don't want the skin tones to go too pink. So I'll bring that down just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, got a lot of highlights in there, so I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. Okay. Not quite bright enough, I don't think. So I'll up the exposure and drop the highlights. And that wall is interesting, but it's looking a little bit flat. Maybe if I bring up the clarity. Yeah, that's good. I'll bring the clarity up. That brings out some of the texture of the wall. Not quite that much. And I think to compensate for that, I'll just brush in a bit of a negative clarity adjustment on Cammy's face. Alright, let's just zoom in and have a look. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. Got to get rid of this though. There's another bit of brownish grass there, so I'll select from elsewhere. That's better, and I might get rid of this too. Excellent. Alright, now I often like to put a bit of a vignette on photos just to draw the eye into the middle, but I'm a bit concerned that that might make this too dark. So if I go the other way, how does that look? It doesn't really work for this one, so look, let's just turn off the vignette entirely. Alright, that's not too bad. Alright, that's our first one done. Now, often I will synchronize photos that are similar, but in this case, I don't think we've got too many that are very much like that. Oh, we've got 3 at the start, 3 additional ones. So let's synchronize those and see how it goes. Alright, so they're synchronized. Let's move on to the next one then. So we'll make the additional adjustments for any variations on that. So it's definitely too dark and too contrasty. I think the hair's a bit too black. Bring up the blacks. That's better. Make it even a bit brighter. Now, I was tilted a bit when I took this one, so I'm going to straighten this up a little bit. I think I'll do that with the cropping tool. So I'm watching the lines in the bricks here, trying to get them relatively vertical, but I don't want to chop off too much of a toe. Alright, let's bring that back a bit there. How does that look? Yeah, that's not too bad at all. Playing with the highlights. Yeah, I think I can bring them down a fair way and therefore keep it bright otherwise. Okay, now I should be checking to see if I need to do any spot corrections other than the grass. So yeah, Cammy's pretty small on that one, so you can't really see any blemishes. Now there's a mark on the chair here, and I'll get rid of that. Actually, I'll get rid of all that dirty bits there, and this one too. Now Cammy has got a little scar on her arm, and typically I don't usually worry about scars too much, but I might take this one out just because we're going for sort of a clean, smooth, bright look. There's a fly there. Flies are a pain, they get in shots. Alright. Is that too bright? I think I might brighten the whole image, but I want the outfit to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to adjust the colors. I'm just going to go to the reds and see if that does the trick a little bit, and the magentas. Yeah, that's a bit better. Might up the saturation on that. Okay, and I think now I can actually make the whole picture a bit brighter again. Yep, that's looking good. That's what I want. Alright, Next. That one's nice, but it's a bit dark. Actually, it's very contrasty, so I'll bring the contrast down. And I might decrease the clarity. I'll just put this up so you can see the sliders as I'm doing this. Yes, it was high clarity from the first photo that I edited. Drop down the whites. Okay, now we've probably lost a bit too much contrast. That's better. I might do the same thing with the colours. That's looking great. That really makes the pink pop. Let's check for noise. I can see a little bit here. Oh, that's just from the preview. Excellent. All right. I am going to brighten up Cammy's eyes just a little bit. I like doing this in most photos that I do, where the eyes are a fairly big feature, just because eyes can often be a little bit dark. And I've got a preset here, but I almost always edit from the preset because it doesn't usually give me exactly what I want straight away. Although that's looking pretty good. A little bit dark, so I might drop the blacks a little and bring up the exposure on that just a little. Gotta be too careful though, or her eyes look like they're glowing as they are there. If anyone's a fan of the old Stargate series, I don't want it to end up looking like a gold. Alright, that's good, but I'm going to do a little bit of selective adjustment on the iris as well. Now this iris enhances actually comes with Lightroom, and it's pretty good. Just increases the saturation and exposure, and a little bit of clarity as well. But that'll really make the irises pop. Alright, while I'm in here, I'll just do a couple of little spot corrections. Spot corrections in Lightroom can be really frustratingly slow. The new version of Lightroom Classic, as it's called now, has improved that somewhat. But yeah, it still can be slow. Alright, let's have a look at the before and after that. Pressing the Y key. Yeah, that's much better. That's looking bright and colourful and cute. I hope you agree. Alright, on to the next one. Okay, this one's cool. This has got a bit of an architectural feel to it. You know what? I'm going to synchronize from this one. Okay, that made that a little bit too bright, but I can fix that. Needs a bit more contrast. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, I was on a slight angle from Cammy when I took this, so I want to correct for that. So I'm going to do that with transformation. I'll try auto first, see how it does. No, that didn't do what I wanted. So I'm going to use the guided one. And I just draw 4 lines. Don't have to even draw 4, I can draw 2 as a minimum. But I'm going to draw 4 just because it'll give me the best control over it. Now, when you're doing this, the longer the line you can draw, the better, because it's more accurate. If you do a short line, any slight misalignments will cause it to not be quite correct. Same goes for keeping it away from the middle. The closer you are to the middle, the more it amplifies any slight errors. Come on, there we go. It's hard to control the mouse on a 4K screen because a little bit of movement moves it a lot. Okay, now that's perfectly square now, and that looks good. I might do some selective work here. I think I might actually darken the grass a little bit. There's no aqua in there really, so it's just the greens. That's nice. That's adding a greater contrast with the pink. And I'm seeing a bit of colour fringing here, so yeah, that's definitely colour fringing, and there's also some in the edges of the bricks. You can see a bit of green there. So let's try and fix that. So I'm adjusting the purple fringing now. which should cover pinks, but it may not be here. Oh, yep, you can see it's disappeared off the edge of the boot there, but not off her leg or off the whites there, so I'll have to go in and adjust that. So, lens corrections, manual, we want to change that to be a bit broader there. There we go, that's got it. Okay, now the greens. Okay, I think we need to broaden that into the blues a bit. There we go, fixed it. Alright, so no more fringing. Okay, now my rule of thumb with removing blemishes and such is if they're temporary, I usually remove them. If they're permanent, like birthmarks, I leave them. I don't know in Cammy's case if this is permanent or temporary, but I think I'm going to remove this just because it draws the eye a bit too much. Excellent, that's done a good job. Anything else I need to spot correct? Nope, that looks pretty good. I might actually just brighten her eyes a little, just with the exposure brush. Maybe not quite that much. Oh, it needs it a bit. And I might bring up the shadows a little. And I think I'll have to increase the clarity there. Yeah, that's looking better. Have a look at before and after. Yep, definitely better. Alright, onwards. Okay, this is a dark one. Let's brighten it up. By the way, if you're watching, I can see we've got 2 people watching. Leave a comment and say hi. I'd love to know who's there. Okay, there's a lot of yellow in this one, so I might correct for that. Other way. Too blue, maybe. Alright. I think I'm going to do a radial adjustment on this. So I want to desaturate things around Cammy, but not including her. So I'm going to just draw this around her and invert it. And change it from exposure. Although that looks kind of good, I'll have to check that out in a second. And just do saturation. That's better, I think. Alright, let's just work from there. Brighter is good. Need contrast and saturation overall, I think. Alright, I think Cammy's a bit too bright there. At least her dress is. Let's try the colour again. It's not affecting it as much this time. Okay, I might have to do an adjustment brush. That's looking better. A bit too much under the neck there. Okay. I think I'll make it a bit brighter overall. Brighten the shadows a bit. Yeah, that's starting to look better. Contrast up. Yep, I like that now. She's looking a bit ethereal. Looks like I just missed focus on Cammy there. The sharpening has helped a bit, but it'll look fine on web size. I probably won't be printing this one, so that's okay. Maybe a bit of clarity just to make that pop a little more. Yep. Okay. Ah, cute. A little bit yellow. Bring up the saturation. Too much. Still too yellow. Alright. Highlights down. think it's getting a bit too pink now. That's better. Yeah, how about a vignette? What about positive vignette? Kind of works. Nah. Alright, let's reset that. I think I might up the clarity a little bit. Oh yeah, that's making it pop a bit better. That's good. Alright, I think I might darken down the plushie, just to bring the colour out a little bit. Made it look a little bit dirty there, so I'll bring it back up again slightly. Actually, I'm just going to do it to the highlights. It's a bit unresponsive at the moment. Let's see if that's actually doing anything. I can't tell. Yeah, it's still there. Okay, looks like highlights isn't going to do anything, so I will have to do it with exposure. Just until it doesn't look dirty. Yeah, that's alright. Alright, since this is a big toothy green and there's a fairly warm colour balance on this one, I think I'm going to do just a slight colour adjustment on the teeth, just to brighten them up a little bit. I need to do new, otherwise I'll be applying that to the plushie. This is a teeth whitening preset I created. It's usually a bit over the top to start with, but I can dial it back. Having it a bit over to start with makes it a bit easier for me to see. And I want to make sure I'm not taking out too much colour from the gums, so I'm just going to put the overlay on. And note, that looks alright. Looks like it's not covering the gums too much. So I'll bring the saturation back up a little bit. Yep, that looks natural, but it's better than it was before. Yep, definitely. Alright, any spot corrections needed? Spot corrections as well as adjustment brushes can be quite slow. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Oh, wait a second. I took that sample from outside her face and made it too pink. Try that. Better. Alright. What a joyful smile, huh? Cammy's gorgeous, isn't she? I'm sure you would agree. Alright. For this area, we went under the trees. This is a challenging one because the contrast is quite huge. Let's bring the whites down. Too much. Okay, that's looking alright. It's a bit off, a bit sloping, I think, so let's try and straighten it up a little. Yep, better. And we'll keep Cammy in the middle, around there. And I think that this one would work from a negative vignette adjustment. And in fact, I'm going to drop that fairly low. And just put a little spotlight on Cammy. Change that to exposure. That looks pretty good. Yep, that helps. Still a bit too yellow. Yeah, that's good. Alright, let's just go in closer and have a look at her face. Oh, wrong button. Alright, face is looking good, but we got a little bit of fringing going on with the trees in the background there. That's in the blues, so I'm going to have to expand the range of the green hue correction. Oh, I haven't actually dialed them in. That's why it's not applying. There we go. Much better. You can really see the effect it has on the color across the image when you turn it on and off. So it needs a bit more aggressiveness there, I think. So let's increase that a bit. Better, but I think I might just go in and desaturate that a little bit. It's just because it's so near her face, it's a bit distracting to have that colour fringing there. Maybe a bit too much. I might overlay a green just to get some of that colour back. Yep, that's alright. Alright. Oh, no, that doesn't work. It makes the white part green as well. Okay, tricky. Just make it white to get rid of any colour. Maybe if I adjust the tint, that'll do the trick. No, because I desaturated it. Alright. Let's bring it up until the blue starts to come back. Yeah, that looks alright. Okay. Anything I can do to improve this one? No, it looks alright. Cool. Alright, I'm just going to take a short break for a few seconds just to check my social media to make sure that I've got the link out there for everyone to see. I'll be right back. Alright, back. Let's get on to the next photo. Alright. When I'm processing, I usually start with what to me looks to be the biggest issue and deal with that, and then move on to the next biggest issue and deal with that. And in doing so, I work quickly to make big improvements and then narrow down to the fine details. And in this case, the most obvious thing to me was the exposure. It was way too dark. Now, we've got a lot of contrast here. I might bring up the shadows. That's better. The white is clipping though, so I'm going to bring that back down. That's all the stuff in the background. Okay, I don't think I can do much more than that for the clipping. But it's not too bad now. Might drop the blacks a little bit just to give a bit of oomph. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, and I can drop the clarity, that means, just a little. I'm always looking for a photo that will work with a positive vignette, but it's very rare that I find one that I like it. Just bring up the eyes a little because the top of the head is a bit in shade from her fringe. Or maybe it was a branch overhead. Dappled sunlight is a real challenge to edit. Okay, that looks a bit better, but I'm going to enhance the eyes a little because they're a little bit low contrast. Okay, that's looking good, but they're too yellow, so I'll fix that. There we go, that's better. And the irises are pretty bright already, so I don't think I need to do any iris adjustments. Alright. Yes, and the arm. It mystifies me why Lightroom chooses some of the sample points that it does for the spot edits. Just doesn't look right. Okay. Another dark one, but I'm going to try synchronizing that previous one with the next two. Excellent, that's got me closer. Too pink. This is running a bit slow. Maybe because I'm streaming at the same time, it's using up more of my CPU, which I believe can be the case. Alright. Still a bit pink, I think. Incidentally, if you're wanting to know what changes I'm making, sometimes because I'm adjusting with the DJ deck, it doesn't show the window that I'm adjusting. The slider it changes without being visible. So if you look over here, you can see the history. That shows you all the changes that I've made to the photo from import through to the most current one, and you can see the difference there. So if you're wondering what it is I'm doing when you can't see a mouse moving or anything, check over at the history and you'll see it updating live as I make the edits. Alright, brighten up those eyes again. Oh, and yeah, the mouse is on the sliders over here now. That's because I can't map the dials on the deck to the sliders within the adjustment mask or any of these other adjustments. It'll only work with the basic panel and the other panels in this window here. So that is a little bit frustrating, but it's a small price to pay. Now, I remember I said before, if you want to find out how to control a DJ deck to do Lightroom editing, look through my history in YouTube and you'll see a video where I provide a link to the utility and information on how I did it. Okay, I think the eye on the left does need some iris enhancement, just the one on the left. Alright. Okay. Oh, yep, spot adjustment, forgot about that. Won't need too many. Cammy's young and she's got beautiful skin. You can see here how it's a bit slow. It's taking a while to catch up with the adjustments. I've made the clicks, but it hasn't adjusted them all yet. And there we go. It's caught up now. Dropping the contrast just a little. And maybe bring the brightness up a little. Yeah, that's good. Let's just double check how it was before and after editing. Ah, yeah, much better. Look how those eyes are popping out compared to before. They were in such deep shadow before. Alright, next. Similar shot. This time the face is more in full light, which helps. Definitely slow. I've got quite a bit of lag here from my editing. I think that looks pretty good. I might just see how the eye enhance will look on this one. May not need it, but let's just give it a go and see. Oh yeah, that helps. Yeah, it's a bit vivid, but that's appropriate for this shoot. I like it. Something about her skin tone I'm not liking at the moment. It looks a bit too washed out or a bit too flat. It could just be though because she's face on into the sun, and that sort of flattened the light across it, so there's not much texture or shade to it. That's helping. Taking out some of the pink is giving a bit more of a more natural skin tone. I might add in a bit of yellow too. That looks better. That's more natural. Okay, this one was a bit of fun. There was a little bridge over a I wouldn't call it a creek, but it was like a water feature. Now I'm going to do some transformations on this to sort of line up all the lines a bit better. No, that didn't work, auto, so let's try it manually. So the bridge I want to be straight, but it's a curve, so there's no straight lines, so I can do it across. But I know that I'm assuming this is symmetrical, so I'm going to do where the curve of this line meets the vertical. And it should be the same height on both sides, or on each side. Now, again, it doesn't do anything until I do a second one. This building up here, it's not straight on, it's at an angle, so I can't do a line across there. So I'm going to have to use the roof. But the roof is cut in half there, so I'll do it from this line. Okay, that should straighten it up. Now the verticals. I definitely know that building is vertical. And this one doesn't go for very long. I'll try this one instead. It's hard with out of focus edges because it's tricky to pick where the edge of the line is. But that looks better. Alright. Okay. The building up top is greenish, but Cammy is quite pink. So I'm not going to change any of that colour balance. I'm going to keep that as is because it looks fairly correct. I might try and draw a bit more attention to Cammy by darkening the whole scene and putting her in a little bit of a spotlight. This is one of my favourite tricks, just to draw the eye. Of course, the enhance eyes preset is still applied. Sorry if you can hear those dogs barking. Our neighbours have got some annoying, noisy dogs that bark at anyone and everyone that walks past down the street. Okay, that might be a little bit too bright. Let's just bring the whites down a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Okay, now there's a couple of things in this image that are not helping it. So I think I needed a bit of editing in Photoshop because the edits I want to do, Lightroom isn't well suited to that. So we've got this little thing poking in here. We've got a bit of the edge of the arch spire. And we've got some unattractive construction fencing there. So I'm going to hit Control and E. And that's going to load Photoshop and then load this image into Photoshop as a TIFF, because on my computer it's a DNG file from the camera. Photoshop can't edit DNGs natively because, well, DNGs are a RAW format. Photoshop can't edit a RAW format, it has to edit a rasterized format. So it's going to rasterize it into a TIFF. Now that TIFF is a much larger file than the DNG, so I am losing some disk space by doing this, but in this case there's really no other way to edit the image to make it look how I want it to without taking it into Photoshop. I really need to get myself a couple of big SSDs and put all my apps on them because it takes a while to load big applications like Photoshop. Hope you're enjoying the music as well. I've just found a Spotify playlist that was listed on a Twitch channel, a Twitch resource page for free music for streaming. And this one sounded alright. Come on, Photoshop, you can do it. Oh, bugger off. Keep trying, you can do it. Okay. It took so long, Lightroom is complaining. But I think it will still load into Photoshop when it's finished loading. Almost there. Alright. I suspect my performance might also be suffering a bit because I'm streaming at the same time and that uses a bit of CPU. Alright, just going to select this one first because that's the easiest. And just use content aware fill. Pretty good indeed. Alright, let's zoom in a bit for a bit more accurate selections. That's still got a little bit there that I didn't want. It's created. Must be pretty cool to live in the apartment there with the art spire so close to it. Be an interesting view. Excellent, that's worked out well. Okay. Now I think the only other thing I want to get rid of really is this fencing. Now the rubbish bin, it's got a bit of garbage sitting on top. I'll get rid of that. Excellent. Now this is going to be a bit tricky because it's covering a large area and these are really quite obvious. I might do this in 2 bits, getting rid of the yellow things first and then getting rid of the fence. see how it does with that. Yeah, not great. Let's try using the patch tool. See if I can tell it where I want to take it from. If that's any better. That is better. Yeah, much better. No. How about... it can be pretty finicky, this content-aware fill stuff. Alright, that's taking care of the feet. Now, I might draw a fairly close border around this because I want to preserve as much of the background as I can, so it doesn't have to make it again. I might get rid of that bin at the same time. Now let's see if it does any good. Oh yes, that has done well. Excellent. Just a little bit of minor cleanup I think I'll do. I might get rid of these here. Better. This is going to be tricky because it's got nowhere that's similar to this to take as a reference to replace it with. What if I try that? Nope, that's no good. How about I just do this? No, that's not good either. Alright, I might have to do some manual cloning then. I don't know what was meant to be there, so it's going to be hard to figure out how to reconstruct it. Put the opacity back up. Yes, yes, I know. Okay, that's a bit soft. Okay, I want to randomize that just a little bit so it doesn't look like a repeating pattern. That's a bit better. Now, how am I going to do this? Let's do a bit of an angle like that, so it's got a bit of perspective, and then do this here. Get to the edge of the frame there. I think I'm using too big a brush for the detail I want here. No, let's try this. Alright, let's zoom out and have a look at that, see if it's too obvious. Yeah, it is pretty obvious. Alright. Well, now that we've cleaned that up a little bit, let's see if Content Aware Fill can do any better job. Bringing those stool feet back in. It's hard because it doesn't know what to put there, it doesn't know what was there, neither do I, so... I think I might get rid of this here. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Alright, let's see if there's anything else in the scene that I can copy and paste from to replace that. What about something like this? About there. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to look believable. Okay, just had a suggestion from a friend who's watching, said multiply the stools. That might work. I'll give it a shot. Yep. No, I can't do it like that because the perspective's wrong, so I will use a tool that I don't often do. Where is it? So often I don't remember where it is. Vanishing point. There it is. Hang on. I'm going to select the area that I'm working on first so it doesn't give me too much to work with. Ah, it doesn't do that anyway. Okay, I'll just zoom in then. Alright, so I will draw the perspective. About there, I think. Okay. That's not exactly what I wanted. Hang on. Is it this one? Can't cancel it. Hang on. Try that again. Filter. I keep thinking it's under tools, but there is no tools menu. Alright, let's try it. Yep, that. Alright, now we'll do the clone stamp. I have to select the plane first, do I? Ah, okay, I can only clone within that area. Alright. Third try then. Maybe I do need to select those and copy them. I'll have to edit that handrail out. That'll work. Good thing there, just background stuff. What I'm doing here is just editing something that hopefully you'll never see. Because if I hadn't done it, then you'd be seeing ugly things. So it only works if you didn't know I did it. It's one of the frustrating things about photoshopping sometimes. And that actually works really well. Thank you for the suggestion, Diego. Yep, that's good. Alright, let's flatten that down. Much better. Alright, is there anything else I can or should edit while I'm in here? Yeah, I might just get rid of some distractions. These are things I probably wouldn't have edited if I wasn't taking it into Photoshop, but because I am here, I can. Photoshop is really powerful, but it can also be quite finicky. That's a bit of a distraction. There we go. Now I've got a little pipe down here. Actually got some garbage floating in the water. Yeah, don't want that. And yeah, I think I'll get rid of this. And this. And this. Now I'm seeing stuff everywhere that I want to get rid of. I could do this all day if I was going to be fussy. How does that look? Better. I love these tools. They're just so good. Excellent. Alright, now just close this. Save it. Give it a second to save. Counting those percentages. Gosh, everything is slower here. Surprised that just streaming is using up so much CPU. Forget that. While it's saving, I'm going to go on to the next picture, which is here. Okay. That needs some correction. I might just try with the crop tool, because it's all pretty orthogonal. Yep, that's good. Enhance eyes on that looks weird. I believe the music has stopped. I can't hear it anymore anyway. I've got it turned down in the background so it's not really loud for me. Tell me if it's too loud for you. But I'm just going to see if I can get it started again. Okay, well I can't hear it, but it's registered as playing, so I hope it's working out for you guys. Alright, let's get back to the editing. Hang on. I need to get to my view of the live stream so I can see if anyone comments. Okay. What do we need to do here? It's lacking oomph. Gotta be careful I don't go too overboard with this. I might bring that down and bring the shadows up. That's better. Okay. Blacks are a bit too dark. Alright, now I'm going to try and see if I can get rid of this garbage and other things without having to load it into Photoshop, because we all know how long that takes. Pretty good. Top of the handrail looks a bit like the edge of the bin, so that might do the trick. Close enough. Often helps to do these things in a couple of steps. Pardon me. Ah, it's so slow compared to Photoshop. I often, if I'm editing a photo that requires lots of little spot corrections like this, I won't even try it in Lightroom. I'll just take it straight into Photoshop just because it's so slow in Lightroom. The latest version was supposed to have improved things, and I think it has, but not nearly enough. The Photoshop people and Lightroom people should get together and talk and figure out how to make spot correction in Lightroom go a lot faster than it does. Where's that coming from? Oh, come on. There we go. Thankfully, I think this is the last image that I took from this perspective. Alright, happy with that. Okay, not nearly so much ugly stuff to correct on this side. In fact, I don't think there's any ugly stuff that needs to be corrected. And of course, Cammy looks lovely as always. Just going to brighten up her face a little. And we're going to bring down the pinks again. Not quite that much. There we go. She was so pink yesterday. I love it. Got a bit of green fringing on the water there. I think that's better. Alright. Now the next one is similar, so I'm going to sync that. If you're wondering why these are leaning quite a bit, it's because I was leaning to get them over the handrail. And it's really hard to tell horizontal when you're not vertical. Okay, that's looking good. Don't need to adjust the clothes at all on this one. Oh, because I synced it, that's right. So they have already been adjusted, and I'll just put a bit of light on their face. Excellent. Okay, let's see if an autocorrect works for this one. Yeah, it was pretty close already. Lots of contrast needed for this one. Highlights are a bit hot. Oh, that's the shadows. That's better. Alright, now I think I'm seeing a bit of fringing on the edges here. Yep, let's fix that. Lens corrections, into the blues. Okay, that's better. And I might brighten Cammy's face again. Actually, it's not so much brightness that she needs, it's just a little bit too contrasty. Better. Excellent. I think I'll get rid of this, it's too distracting up there. It's even more so because it's right on the edge of the frame and draws the eye to it. Why didn't it cover that bit? Well, just draw over that again. Better. Okay. Not a perfect job, but it's less distracting. That was a cute one. Definitely going to synchronize those two though, because they're very similar. Bit darker this one. Ah, look at that expression, so cute. Now that I look at this one, I think I want to darken the grass a bit, but that means I'll have to do it on this one as well because they're both the same. I think I'll do that with a graded neutral density filter, or a, what do they call it? Just a graduated filter, yep. Yep, that's better. This is my kind of music, 80s electronica. It's awesome. I'm very lucky I found this cool channel. Don't have to worry about copyright issues because it's permitted to use for streaming. Okay, there's a person in the window over there. Are they in the other shot too? No, alright. I have to edit in this one. Just a bit of a distraction. A good portion of my work in post-processing is removing distractions. It's really important leading the eye where you want it to go. And eliminating distractions is a huge part of helping that. Alright, so next we moved inside the NGV. I should mention we were shooting this at the National Gallery of Victoria. It's beautiful architecture, some great light. We had a bit of limited options with where we could go though. We couldn't go into the galleries themselves and shoot, or at least not with, ironically it was Cammy's prop, the little unicorn thing. This thing. The security guards were saying that if we were carrying that around, some people might think that we'd taken a piece of an art display. So we weren't allowed to go in with that. Alright, there's a few things that need correction here, but I think I'll start with the transformation. See if auto does any good with this one. Not bad, but I can do better. So this is a bit distorted because I got down on my knees to shoot this one, and that means I was looking up at the scene. And as soon as you point the camera above or below the horizon, then the perspective forces the lines in that shot to go inwards or outwards. So because I'm looking up here, the lines all converge inwards. This is a lesson I learned from my real estate photography. Real estate agents really don't like converging lines. They like everything to be parallel if possible. So I've learnt to shoot everything pointing straight at the horizon. Rule of thirds be damned. Typically I'm indoors though, so the rule of thirds isn't too big an issue in that case. Okay, I've chopped off her feet here, so I'm going to have to do something about that. Alright, so I'm going to turn off constraint crop and see what we've got. Okay, that's no problem, I can easily fix that. Sometimes I have to go into Photoshop and add a bit to the corners, but it won't be a problem here. Alright, now the exposure. This is a fairly high contrast one. I don't want to blow the skylight, but I do want to bring up Cammy a little bit. Let's drop the whites and see if that gives me, oops, that's the blacks. See if that gives me some editing room in the highlights. Okay, drop the highlights as well. Okay, now we're not clipped in the skylight. And incidentally, what I'm doing when I'm adjusting the exposure is I'm looking up at the histogram here. And if these pixels, that's representing the brights, the whites, if they get pushed too far over, that means it's clipped, you don't get any detail. All those pixels are gone into the whites. Now the blacks here are the same, and you can see that's got a little blue square in there. And if you look down here, when I hover over that blue triangle, you can see it's showing that that area is clipped. It's got a little blue indicator. If I actually edit the brightness and I hover over here, you can see that's all clipped in there. So if I undo that, the clipping is gone. So this spike here is representing all the pixels up here in the skylight. And if I increase the exposure too much, it pushes those outside the whites. So you lose all detail in them and it becomes clipped. So I don't want to touch the highlights anymore, but that's okay because the bright things in here are looking good. It's just Cammy that's looking under, and there's a big area here in the shadows. So I'm going to see if I can improve or increase the shadows to help that out. Okay, that is helping, but I am losing contrast a bit. So I'm going to drop the blacks down a little. I can clip it a little bit because where it's going to clip is not going to be where the eye is going to look. So the contrast is better, but Cammy is too dark again. So I might do, let's try a radial filter first, but I'm not sure if that's going to work. No, it's not discriminating enough. It's doing it over just an area, and I really want to have a bit more control over that. So I'm going to just brush it in. Now this might look a bit bright to start with, and I can dial it down, but at least in the meantime it helps me see where I'm painting. Although it's not too bad actually. Okay, got a bit of a fringe around the legs there. I'm going to make sure auto mask is turned on while I hold down the Alt key to get the erase brush. And while I erase what I just did, it won't affect her legs, it'll just affect the stuff that's the same color as where I'm brushing. So that's what the auto masking does. A little bit here too. I actually reckon that looks pretty good. And I might even do a little bit more on the face. Does that work? Yeah, I think so. Is it just me or is she going cross-eyed? No, it's just me. It looked a bit like that when it was zoomed out. Alright, actually when I was in there I could see it got some fringing on the edges of those architectural elements, so it's in the blues. I have to go back into lens corrections and widen that range. Has that done it? Again, I was adjusting the purples and not the greens. There we go. Let's fix that. Okay, anything can improve this image. Nope, I think it's pretty good. Okay, this one and the previous one and the next few are quite similar, so I'm going to sync those. Oh, we've been going for over an hour now. Pretty much the whole time. It says we've had 2 people watching, so I'm guessing one of them is me. Whoever the other one is, if that's you, Diego, thank you very much for watching. Great to have your support. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm hoping also some of you will be watching this from the recording, and we'll discover this after the stream. If that's you, thank you very much and welcome. I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know what you think actually. If you like this, I'll do more because I can now. I've got a good internet connection. That's pretty good. Okay, this one lacks a bit of oomph, but first of all I'm going to straighten things up. Actually, I'll try it with these the crop tool first. Yep, that's pretty good. Alright, let's bring some oomph. It's not working yet. Maybe if I darken it all up and brighten Cammy again. She doesn't fit neatly in a circle here, so I'm going to use the adjustment brush. And I don't think it matters too much if there's a little bit of a glow around her from going over the edges. Okay, that's better. Okay, I think I'll sync these last 2. That's pretty good as is. Glass is quite green. You never really, it's hard to notice when you see it in person, but really stands out in photos for some reason. Perhaps because I've turned the saturation up. That might have something to do with it. Alright, we're starting to get through these a bit faster now. Now this one I love, and Cammy loves her expression. The pose is good, except her right hand is a bit blurry because she was moving it. It's not perfect, but the expression is so cute. I think it's worth keeping. It's a little bit blurry though, motion blur. It was fairly dark where I was shooting. It was 60th of a second, and because we were going down an escalator, we were moving quite fast. So I might try and see if I can do something about that in Photoshop, but first, let's get it right in Lightroom. Just as a reminder, if you're watching and have just joined us and you want to see what it is I'm editing, what changes I'm making, you can look at the left column over here in the history and you'll see my changes pop up as I do them. It's getting better. Yeah, that's looking good. Alright, let's just make sure everything's straight. Better. Alright, now, actually I'll just brighten the teeth just a little. Yeah, that's better. And while I'm here, enhance the eyes a little. Oh yeah, that's good. It would be probably too much on most shoots, but for this shoot I think having the bright pink works. Alright, now you can see there's a little bit of motion blur there. You can see that from the reflection in the eye and a little bit of glitter on her eyebrow. That might be something that Photoshop can help with. There's a shake reduction tool and it analyzes the shape of the movement of particularly highlights, but it contrasts in general, and it might be able to do something about the movement of the head. So I'm just going to do a loose selection of Cammy's head. And I'm going to feather that because I don't want it to be a hard edge on the correction that I do. And I want to see Cammy's head while I do that. Okay. Don't need to have smart radius on this one because, or edge detection. I just need to have it feathered. There we go. And we don't want a new layer, we just want a selection. Alright, now zoom in and see it a bit closer. We'll go into the filter, sharpen, shake reduction. And we just put the box for the sample over the top of the eye. Is that it? Okay, here we go. Now it's analysing inside this, looking for any movement. Okay, that's not bad. That's done pretty good just with the default settings. So if I turn on and off the preview, have a look at the face. Okay. I think it's so laggy. Yeah, there we go. It was so laggy it was taking a second to actually update it. So that's with the correction on, and that's with the correction off. That's definitely an improvement. It may be a bit too much, so I'm going to increase the smoothing a little bit. Still generating. Come on. Watch the little thing up here, the little yellow sign. When that goes away, it's done. There we go. I think that's better. It's not perfect, but her face isn't a big part of the frame, and I think doing a little bit of correction is just going to be what it needs to get rid of that motion blur. And yeah, her eyes look a lot sharper there. Just go to the history and we'll compare. Yeah, that's much better. Excellent. That's a really neat feature. It doesn't always work. In fact, it's probably 50-50 in my experience, but it can salvage an otherwise a photo you would otherwise discard. Okay, so those two photos, incidentally, that I edited, they are back in here. They've just gone on to the end. And actually, the way I'll fix that, I'll go back into the grid and view, sort by file name. So, which was the first one I edited? This one? No, this one. And it keeps the edited version and the original version in there. So if I'm swapping between them, you can see where those changes are. So I'm just going to unstar, because I keep track of the photos that I select by using star system. Oh, and I forgot to edit that one. And you know what? I don't think it's as strong as the others, and it's similar. So I'm going to drop that one. But yes, I use stars for select. So everything that gets a 1 star is selected. And then I'll add maybe 2 stars for my favorites from a shoot. So for example, I actually have processed one of these photos. I believe it was this one. Processed it already. No, it's not that one. Where was it? I'll find it later, but I processed one of them earlier because I just posted it as a preview, and I really liked it. So that would probably be something I'd give 2 stars. And 3, 4, 5 stars, they're ones that is like best photo of the month, best photo of the year, that sort of thing. Anything that goes into my folio, that gets a 5 star. Alright, this one was a bit of an experiment, shooting against a screen which was cycling between ads, and it went white for a little while. So we tried posing Cammy in front of that. First thing I want to do is square it up. Oh, come on. There we go. Excellent, that's better. I like how this one, it makes her look a bit like she's been framed, like she is the picture. Now, I want this to go to white, but the priority is to getting Cammy to look good. So I'm going to process this, ignoring everything but Cammy herself. So she's a bit yellow. Bit of saturation. Highlights are a bit too much on the side. Bit of contrast, I think. Maybe a bit of positive clarity. Still a bit too yellow. That's better. We've got a really nice gradient and colour going on the background there. We had natural light coming in from the camera right and artificial light coming in from camera left. So we've got a sort of a blue through to yellow gradient there. Now, Cammy's face is a bit too dark and a little bit blurry here, but I don't know if I need to do that camera shake correction for this one. I'll decide when I've finished processing it here first. Okay, that's better. And have we just lost the music again? What's going on here? Oh, that was the end of the track. Okay, had a long silence at the end. Should be another one starting up momentarily. Yeah, I don't reckon that needs to be corrected for the blur. I reckon that looks just okay as is. Bearing in mind this is not being printed, it's just going to be seen on social media. Synchronize those two photos. Needs a little bit more work. First of all, we'll straighten it up. Come on. There we go. Maybe not. Ugh. Alright. Better. I'm just going to crop this a little bit to make it a bit more symmetrical. About there, I think. Now let's brighten up Cammy just a little. A little more. She's a bit too yellow. Better. I think that one's good. We're about halfway through now. Processing takes a long time. Alright. Let's straighten this one up first. See how the auto goes. No. Auto rarely gets me the results I want. I usually have to do it manually. I think I'm going to skip this track. It's quite repetitive. That's better. Excellent. All right. Now, I think low contrast for this one actually. Or what about clarity? Yeah, that helps. Saturation can come way up. It's a bit blue, I think. Yeah, that's better. Skin tones look more natural there. Bringing out some interesting colour in the rock there. Quite nice. Shadows are a bit dark on Cammy, so I'll bring those up. And I think I'll brighten her face again. The face is the most important part. That's where the eye goes to. Having the face too dark, it sort of stops the eye. The eye naturally goes to the bright points in a photo. So if the face is darker than the rest of the body, or even the same brightness, it's often better to just increase that brightness just a smidge. At least that's what I find, and that's my style. Okay, this one's a bit more of a challenge to straighten. I'm going to sync them though first, because that's pretty similar in look. And I'm going to skip this track too. That's better. Alright. Looking good, Cammy. Let's straighten this up. It had to be a rap song, didn't it? Sorry folks, I'm not a big fan of rap. What does that do? Might have to constrain the crop on this one. Chopped her feet off. Okay, this is going to be one I'm going to have to take into Photoshop to fix the corners. Put her on the 1/3 line. I think it also needs to be Oh, it doesn't matter. That's not. Looking up, it was looking wrong when it was leaning in. But I don't think it matters that it's going up here and down there. It's just because I'm slightly on an angle. Now, there's a couple of things I want to edit here, aside from fixing the corners. We've got this little pin here. I want to get rid of that yellow sticker. It's too bright. And I just noticed we've got a dude here, just barely visible. So, make sure I'm done editing in Lightroom first. Yeah, that's pretty good. And let's take it over to Photoshop. Alright, now I usually hit the delete key on selections to do a fill, a content aware fill, but that only works if it's a flattened image. And because we've got this white bit here, it comes through as a layer, so I'm going to flatten it first. That's the history. Now I can use my selection tools and quickly hit delete to get rid of that. Usually does a pretty good job with geometrical stuff like that, which it has this time. Although I've got a couple of extra seams I might take care of. Can be a bit hard to draw a straight line with a mouse. I've heard drawing with a mouse described as like trying to draw with a bar of soap, which I think is an amusing and accurate analogy. Okay, this could be a little tricky. I might do it a bit at a time and see if that works. Content aware feels usually pretty good at recognizing edges, but not in that case. Okay. I might actually do it manually because we've got some nice straight lines here from the escalator, and I can just clone that. Yeah, that's working well enough that you won't really be able to know that there was something edited there. Doesn't matter if it's not a perfect job, it just has to be perfect enough that the eye doesn't get drawn to it. It's getting a bit trickier up here because we're running out of room to clone from. Just gonna undo that. The history brush is really fantastic. Lets you paint back to the initial state of the image, which can be very, very handy if you want to make a correction and then undo just a section of it. Okay, that's not bad. Let's see if it'll do a better job up here. Yes, excellent. Every little bit that we can do automatically is good, because doing it manually leaves room for mistakes and makes it's a bit harder. That's pretty good. Almost joined. Good enough. Let's have a look. That's a little bit dark. It's still gonna attract the eye. Little white spot there too. There we go. That's not gonna distract anyone now. Anything else? No, it's pretty good. Alright. Oh, that saved a lot faster. That's how it's supposed to be. Alright, so I can now get rid of that one. Okay, now this one overexposed because the wall was black and the camera in its auto modes, basically every mode but manual, tries to make everything a neutral grey, or at least the majority of the picture neutral grey. So that's overexposed it because it made the black brighter. But shooting in RAW, look at that. So much dynamic range, you can bring it all down. I love shooting in RAW. Well, I mean, that's all I shoot in, but I love how capable RAW is. Yeah, contrast works well for this one. I don't want to bring out the shadows across the board because I like the darkness of the black, but I do want to brighten up Cammy's face. That's such a cute expression too. Might get rid of a few of these little scuff marks. As I said before, most things, or many things I do in post-processing is getting rid of distractions. Keep it simple, stupid, as they say. There we go. Excellent. I really like that one. It's got a strong geometrical feel to it. Okay, close up looks good too. Straighten that up first. Come on. I don't know if it's my computer or if it's Lightroom in general, but sometimes it just stalls like that. And then whatever you did while it was stalled, like moving the mouse, it catches up and it screws things up. Can get really frustrating. I might do a couple of little spot corrections here. Come on. Alright. Oh, yes, and the arm. We headed outside to the famous water wall. Quite contrasty actually, this shot. It's a bit distracting behind with everything there. I think I'll take this into Photoshop, but I just want to make sure I got everything in Lightroom done that I wanted to. can't quite figure out how to make this straight. I might have to do some transform. So that's definitely a vertical line there. As is this. Yeah, that's better. And this is horizontal. Yep, that's better. Okay. Into Photoshop again. Alright, bit of work to do here. I don't think I'll get rid of the whole TV screen, but I'll get rid of that artifact on it. For once I'm talking about a genuine artifact, so not a editing artifact or optical artifact. Come on. There we go. I think I'll get rid of this thing. It's just a big block of colour distracting the eye. Ah, excellent, did a good job of that. This is now a little bit too hard-edged, that's better. Alright, and the security guard and the camera. Easy. That pink thing just to the right of the security guard there, that's Cammy's reflection. I'll get rid of the security guard first and see if I want to keep the reflection there or not, if it's too distracting. Anywhere else I can sample that from? It's not too bad. And the name board, it's tricky right next to the head and hair. Yeah, that'll do. Let's go back and have a look. I'm going to get rid of these. And the bin. Let's see. How does this go? Yeah, no good. How about this? No. 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 Better. I think I'm going to have to get rid of that monitor at the same time. Go back to normal. Alright, let's do this manually. Okay, maybe I can get rid of this one as well. Just trying to create enough of a good background to be able to edit it manually. That was no good. It's hard when you haven't got enough enough to work with. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to look good from a distance. I really would like to get rid of that bright bit there. That's getting there. I might even be able to take this all the way out. Okay, that's better. That's not too distracting now, I think. So let's go back and look at before. Oh yeah, much better. Now Cammy stands out. Alright, it's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. Could be here all night if I wanted to make it perfect. Okay, I've got another one to edit, but the good news is there's less stuff and it's more clear of Cammy. I'm going to just synchronize these. Oh, that's too distracting noise, music. Okay, so synchronized. Get rid of that. Okay. Hey, this track's much better. Alright, let's straighten it up. There we go, that's pretty good. Alright. I think the wall on the left is a bit too distracting, so I'm going to darken it. Yeah, no, I said darken, give me a second. Yeah, that's better. Alright, now hopefully this won't take as long in Photoshop. I've been going at this for 2 hours now. I should probably stop soon for a break. And it might end up being too long a video anyway, so for my first try, this is really a test anyway, so maybe in 10 minutes I'll stop this and go have a rest off the desk chair. These are coming out so much easier because we've got a nice big sample of wall to sample from. Now, do I bother with the sign behind her head? I think that's going to be too hard to get rid of because the hair is there. But I don't think it's too distracting. So I'm going to leave that. Yeah, definitely better than it was. I am just going to brighten up Cammy's face just a little. Okay. This one's very cute, a little bit cheeky. I love the effect of the water wall too. The colour's great, the textures too. I don't think that really needs anything else. This. They are constructing a new exhibition just behind the window. Yeah, that is too distracting, and I'm not going to be able to do that in Lightroom very easily, so pop over to Photoshop again. And I'm going to get rid of that plank as well, but if I do this one thing at a time, it'll be a bit easier to, yeah, now it all looks like a plank, which makes it easier to get rid of. Wonderful. Sometimes it just works. To be fair, it usually just works. I might clone that just because I can get the edge better. But I need to get rid of the soft edge. Now obviously it's darker over there, but this works really well for fixing that. Maybe over here. Yeah, there we go. Alright, I'm not going to get rid of this because that's part of the installation, but I think I will try and get rid of this block. Get rid of that bit first. I might have to clone right up against the edge of the leg. These tools don't do a great job against boundaries so well. They do much better when the thing you're wanting to remove is isolated. Okay, yeah, it's starting to struggle now. Just trying to get rid of that little bit of brownish stuff there. Alright. It's still only 50%. Get rid of that stroke. All that's left is this one now. I love the effect the ripples have had on there. The light coming through. Drawing with a bar of soap again. Pretty good. I might actually upload this, but as a time lapse. Don't know if the commentary has been all that useful or entertaining, but as a 2-hour long video, it might be a bit much for most people to sit through. So time lapse might be more interesting to do. You know, 2 hours worth of editing in 5 minutes or something like that. If you're watching and you have a preference, let me know. I might clean this up a little bit more here. That's much better. Although that looks a little bit weird there. Yeah, far less distracting. Oops. I don't know if you can see that, but I just got a warning that my mouse is low on battery. So that is probably a good time to wrap this up. So, get rid of the unedited version. Alright, so I've got, what, 20 photos to go, 15? So, I might leave it at that. When I've finished editing these, I'll be uploading them to my Smug Mug gallery, and you can check them out there. If you have any feedback, if you enjoyed this, please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you like me to do more of this? Is there anything else you'd like to see me stream? Do you think it was interesting, and did you learn anything? I'd really like to hear what people think, because I want to do more of these, but I don't know if there's any interest. So let me know. Anyway, once again, check out my Patreon if you want to support me. Patreon.com/Neil Creek, and check out my Facebook. I don't really use my Facebook page because the reach is terrible, but feel free to follow me on my Facebook personal profile. Just search for Neil Creek and you'll have a picture of me there. Most of my posts are open, so you can still follow and see what I'm doing. And that's where I post most of my my photos and what I've been up to. So if you don't want to go on Patreon, you can do that instead. But thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I'll catch you next time.